everyone, and welcome to AGRU Trends, AGRU America's video podcast featuring insights about infrastructure for a sustainable future. This podcast is hosted by AGRU America's Chief Operations Officer, Edgardo Cornejo, and General Manager of AGRU Chile and Brazil, Francisco Pizarro. Together, they invite guests who help peel back the curtain to reveal the world of engineering plastics. From engineers and designers to installers and end users, we hope AGRU Trends can be a useful tool for you to learn how you and AGRU can build a better future. Let's build it together.
Today, we are thrilled to bring our knowledge to a wider audience with AGRU Trends. As you know, AGRU Trends is in this third series. The first one was about the XXL pipes, second one about our concrete protective lining. And in this third series, we are exploring the world of geosynthetics. Okay, more specifically, the role of lining system for containment and closure. Second episode, we'll talk a little bit about quality and performance, and that's why for this episode we are proud to have with us to Scott Perugia, our technical representative for AGRU America. Scott, good to have you here with us. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, our pleasure. Scott, we would like to just go straight to the bones. And I would like you, with all the experience you have, actually, we just met together a couple weeks ago in Toronto for the AGRU Americas 2024, where we met different customers. And one of the main topics we covered was about quality. Why is quality so much important in geosynthetics, Scott?
Well, quality is everything. You know, if you're using a membrane or geosynthetics to enclose something or encapsulate it, there's a reason, right? You want to hold something in or you want to hold something out. So, do you really want low quality when you're talking about keeping water out or keeping waste in? No, you want the absolute highest quality you can have. And that's what AGRU really brings is a high quality material. But when you look at it, it's just there's different variables for quality. And I always kind of view everything as a three-prong aspect. Like, how does the owner see quality? How does the installer see quality? And how does AGRU see quality? And like all together, when you look at all of them, if it benefits everybody, that's a quality product. So, you know, an owner, they're investing all this money into a project. Do you want to save 5% and maybe have an exposed liner system that doesn't make it 20 years and it fails after 10? Probably not. Do you want to have a geocomposite that you sit out there and it has some type of delamination issue and the slope fails? Probably not. So they want to pay, they're paying good money to begin with. Why not pay that little bit more to make sure you have a quality product? And then when you take that to the installer, you know, their life becomes so much easier with high quality materials. When you have a product that's guaranteed a certain thickness and it's that same thickness all the way through, you can set up that wedge, drop it, and it can go. You know, versus if you get some other product that might have some variation, might have some snot on top of it, you know, those guys are going to fight that install the whole entire time. And liner installers are paid to put material down. So the slower they go, the more costly it is. Well, that's either going to cost them in their profit or they're going to charge the owner more. So they want a quality product. And then there's the selfish view from AGRU, which, you know, we view it as we want to sell a quality product because we don't want that phone call in 5 years. I want you to install it, put it down on the ground and be done with it, you know, and not get that phone call saying, hey, there's an issue. The green exposed membrane you sold us is now blue. Nobody wants that phone call. You know, you want to sell it once, issue that warranty, issue the certs and say goodbye to it and never have another problem. And if you're not selling a quality product, you're going to have those revisits. And every time someone calls you and say there's an issue, someone's being impacted. Is it the owner? Is it the installer? Is it AGRU? Well, either way you look at it, it's not good. So selling a quality product from day one and providing a consistent quality product is just, it's how you become a leader in this industry.
So based on your answer, there's definitely a relationship between quality and performance.
Oh,
We
absolutely.
exactly we are some slides right now, so you can go ahead and get deep on them, and how this it's our one of the main differentiations for agro.
So the first one, it's kind of the one that we can't see. And when you think of a cell liner, you put the membrane down. We always kind of joke. I come from an installation background that once you put dirt on top of it, you're good because you don't. No one's going to see it. No one's going to know if something's right or wrong. Well, that's kind of like a joke to have, but reality is you don't. You want that product to be A grade, that installation to be A grade, that design and engineering to be A grade because you don't want your primary to be leaking leachate at the end of the day. You want to have a sheet that's going to have its life expectancy longer than what you ever designed it for. You want the geocomposite to be able to handle flows longer than it was ever designed for. You want to exceed every single expectation that you had for that product because you're providing that quality and we can all sleep at night. We're geosynthetic manufacturers, right? But we're kind of stewards of the environment. I mean, I wouldn't sleep well at night if I sold a product that would have pinholes all over it. That's why we do the spark testing in the plant. We want to make sure we're selling you a great product. And if we did have pinholes and it's leaking into the earth and we're selling that, that's that's a slap in the face. That's us not doing the right thing. So that's not a quality product at all. That's not an AGRU product. So being able to provide something that I can sleep at night and knowing that my kids and the future generation kids are going to have a sustainable containment system that's protecting them, that's awesome. When we talk about caps, this is the greatest thing about AGRU. We could have stopped 20 years ago and just be like, we're doing PVC. Everybody does PVC, but we evolved. And then we were doing smooth geomembrane. We could have stopped there, but we kept on bringing out new technology, providing better products as we go. We brought in texturing of the HDPE products and the LLs. Now, AGRU has probably the two most unique, amazing closure systems out there. The micro drain system that they can use with the IDS, the integrated drainage system, it's just using a structured membrane and a geotextile for a drainage layer, or how we partnered with Watershed Geo and their team with the closure turf system that you're putting a turf system on top of the membrane, a little bit a totally unique design, but you're providing a long lasting system that should outlast all of us. We're talking 100-year solution. It's really evolving. I look, I read the news. You get the news articles and the emails of issues on sites. You get the phone calls. Hey, we got a problem. How can you help us out? And especially with closures in the last 5 years, I've seen more slope failures than I ever have before. And no one wants to be a part of a slope failure. So you have a friendly engineer call you up and they're like, hey, we had a slope failure. Can you come out, see what happens? You don't know whose product's on it. You don't know anything. You just know they have a headache. And a lot of it is, hey, sometimes people are trying to stretch pennies the furthest, and maybe they could have spent a little bit more to have a more robust system. Maybe the dirt layer wasn't put in the right way. Everyone's trying to stretch a little bit more. But when AGRU's coming out there with these new systems like IDS, we can take on a traditional system, be more price competitive, if not save the owner a lot of money, and provide them with a product that would exceed the safety factors that their original design was for. So it's okay, we can provide you a product at the same cost that will have a higher transmissivity, a higher interstate shear value, and it's saving you money all the way through. I mean, that's a win-win for everybody. That's a quality pitch right
Fine.
there. Like how can I
You
benefit
touched
you anyway?
you touched a really good point, because at the end, uh, I guess none or most of the manufacturers doesn't have the same idea about quality. Okay, so should be, I guess, and of course you'll go deep on this. No matter if it's geosynthetics, no, but sorry, geomembranes, GCLs, geotextiles, geocomposites, whatever. There are some standards. What are those standards, and why are so important in this industry? And is with the standard enough?
So I have a lot of opinions in this field. So
Please, it's our
so so
series, it's our podcast.
yes,
So
so we can let it all out. So industry standards, they've been adapted over time since the first regulations came out, and you know everything is set up. The ASTM committees have set up great testing parameters of how you test materials, and then you reach out to the Geosynthetic Institute, and they really give the best guides that they can. Now, industry is evolving faster than the ASTM can put out new standards, faster than a Geosynthetic Institute can act into it. So, we're always evolving. So sometimes there's, I don't want to say a lag, but sometimes we can present new products that haven't gone through all the check boxes, or they haven't tested everything yet. So those guys are the primary reasons, primary people who set these policies. Like, hey, this is how you check for thickness, this is how you check for transmissivity, this is your oxidation. But the other thing that really pleases is performance. So like the membrane world, we are so good on the regulations. Like we have minimal maximums for resins. Like everything is perfect in that world. What the oxidation is supposed to be of the membrane. We have long-term performance. It's been so well charted out. We know everything that has to be. And that's where being able to provide like a micro drain product or a structure product sets you aside from competition. We're providing a better quality. But there's products that aren't as regulated as much in policy. And like one of them that my big concern is geocomposites. Not necessarily the thin mill geocomposites, but there's not as much regulations when you get to the thick mills of what you can put in the resins, the min and max, and kind of a warning sign we've seen is some stress cracking occurring in thicker mill geocomposites. Now, why that's occurring, and the reason why it's occurring varies from the sites that we've seen, but it's a concern of mine because we know those resins aren't as regulated as a geomembrane resin. We know there's a little bit more variability between manufacturers and manufacturing process. And once again, we're stewards of the environment, right? We are attaching our name. Our owner's name at AGRU is on every single roll that rolls off that line. That's putting your names out there in neon lights. We don't want to be associated with those issues. So we working for a company that's putting the highest grade resins out there for those geocomposites and making sure that we're not going to have stress cracking and not having those failures is huge. I don't want the phone call saying, hey, your material failed, you need to come out here. That doesn't do us any good. So being able to set back, making sure AGRU puts out the best material, and if there's ever an issue, the best thing I've ever seen about AGRU is they take it and they build off of it. There's not a single manufacturer out there that will never have an issue. We all have issues, right? We all have that one incident. It's how you learn from it and what you develop. And I remember we were going out to the plant and I was like, hey, why does all our overhead cranes have this collection tray? And they're like, oh, we do this to prevent this. And what it was, they had an issue. They found a reason to put this collection tray to make sure that every product's coming out of there is perfect. I've been to other plants. They don't have that. So like knowing that AGRU has once had an incident and they grew off of it and matured off of it and made standard practices off of it is great. This is how you're getting a quality product, because they care. That name is on that roll. They want to make sure it's the best product you can have on a job site.
yes. So if there's a standards, and of course we overpass it by far, but is it's as it's there's a standard, there's also let's say a third party that regulates this. Who, I mean, not going specifically talking about them, but how does this work? Is it so important? Let's talk a little bit about, let's say, independent laboratories. Here in South America, Latin America in general, we suffer a lot because we know how this works. There are not so many laboratories. Actually, just a few. Many samples need to be shipped outside, or if you ask for some manufacturers, you know that they are doing cherry picking on their sample to just fulfill the results. So how third parties and how independent laboratories, uh, interact here, and why are so important on this.
So before we even get to the third party, we have our internal party. So at AGRU, we're testing every roll and we're providing a manufacturer quality control cert for that product, saying this product has been certified to meet these values. And we're doing that testing internally at our lab. It's a GAI certified lab. So we know what's coming off is hitting our specs, not industry specs. AGRU's higher than industry specs. We know that's coming out of it. But you always have to rely on a third party source, because who do you want a fox watching the hen house? Probably not. So when you have a third party come out and evaluate and test it, it provides you a blanket relief that, hey, this has been verified from a third person. So which typically happens is AGRU is certifying every single roll that comes off that line, right? We're taking times, we're taking samples, we're testing thickness. We have frequencies that are established by the GRI that we test at, right? Well, that third party is coming in and they're selecting at a different frequency and they're bracketing out certain roles and they're selecting at random, or at their every engineer is different. So they're taking samples and they're shipping them off to these third party labs. There's several in the US, and they're testing the same properties that AGRU has internally tested. So it's kind of like they're checking our work to make sure what we say on that piece of paper is correct, and the owner has the reassurance that a third party has verified it, and it's just not the manufacturer saying everything's great. It's the can we overtest? Yes, but are we doing it accurately in providing a reassured product? Absolutely, because you need a third party in case there is an issue, or in case you have an internal question like, hey, what happened there? Having someone that can oversee all that and take a look at everything and provide you results saying this materials has passed is wonderful. Those third party labs are typically universities. They're typically GAI certified, and they can do so much more testing than what we here at AGRU can do. You know, they have labs that are just designed to test every type of parameter that you can put out there, and they're being paid to find our flaws. You know,
Mm.
it'd be really easy just to put a check and say complete, but their job is to find us doing something wrong. So like you really know that material's being checked in and being reviewed on everything, because if you have a lab that passes everything or there's no second guessing of anything, you're kind of like, hey, what are you doing? Is everything perfect out there? But it's really a great tool for the owners to know that they're getting the product that the AGRU is saying that they're giving them.
Mm. And just like for a last question, Scott. So at the end, this is like sort of equation for the end customer. We have the manufacturer, we have the certifications, the standards, the third parties, but we got the price. And I'm speaking generally, in general terms. How at the end, and the end customers or the engineering companies that they're going to specify, they're going to prescribe also this solution, are aware of all those variables. How important is at the end, at the moment of the order was awarded, and the installation is going to move forward. And after 5, 10 years, how has been your experience with those customers, once they took the decision, and after some time, the results, in general speaking, in your experience, all those variables and the results, how is it blended, all of this?
It really means a quality product creates a quality project. If we have a crummy product from the get go and they have issues on day one, we're not getting a phone call to do the next phase of that project. Owners, once they have a situation that they had material and they've had an issue with it, they don't want to go back. They'll also spend more on the next one because they don't want that issue. So quality is everything, because there's a limited amount of engineers out there. There's a limited amount of owners. I don't ever want to have an issue that tarnishes AGRU's relationship with an engineer or AGRU's relationship with an installer. We want every one of those guys to see our product, to see that that big AGRU, and I want them to get excited that they got those blue straps are being dropped off at their site, and they got the best material. They got the blue ribbon. They got literally the best material being dropped out there. That being said, that quality that we provide them is the reason for that. They know, hey, the exposed membrane that we have is going to last the 20 years. Hey, that geocomposite they sold us, it's not going to delaminate. It's going to last. Hey, more importantly, AGRU's construction schedule or production schedules that we give to them is accurate. That all is quality. That's all a successful project. The more successful products you have with somebody, the easier the next one is. So it's just all together. Quality is everything. You know, do you want to drive a car that only has 3 brakes because it's 10% cheaper, or do you want to spend 10% more and have a car with 4 brake pads? I'm taking the 4 brake pads because my wife's a horrible driver and I don't want my insurance premium to go up, you know? So like, you got to take this time and like, yeah, you're spending a little bit more up front, but the long lasting effects that you're having is worth it. Like you want to make sure you have the best products. You want to make sure your kids, when they look at a site that you worked on, they know that it was a perfect site and they don't have to worry about it. The owners aren't going to have to go out there and redo what we just did years later. So paying a little bit more upfront for a quality product, for a quality engineer, for a quality installer, for just quality in general has always been worth it.
You're right. Well, Scott, it has been a real pleasure having you today in this second episode of the third series. I really want to thank you. I really look forward to see you soon again. And we call all of our audience to follow us on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on our channels where we're uploading our episodes. Please feel free to share, to like, to comment. Yeah, your feedback is very important. Scott, thanks again. Any final thoughts?
No, I thank you for having me. I look forward to working with all our viewers on future projects and I guess providing them a quality product on it.
Absolutely. Quality was the name of this episode. I thank you again to all of us. Thank you for our producers, Yusi, Georgia. Thanks again. You also make this possible. And we look forward to see you soon, very, very soon.